When Theodore Roosevelt was a small boy, he suffered from asthma. He had quite severe attacks. There were no effective cures at the time, so they would just have to wait until the attack was over.
Theodore Roosevelt was born in Manhattan in 1858. His severe asthma attacks began at about age 3 and may have been triggered by city dust.
You can imagine this small boy who's stuck in the house because he's sick, just waiting and waiting and waiting until he could go outside and look at birds and trees and flowers.
Roosevelt founded what he called the Roosevelt Museum of Natural History in his little brownstone home on East 20th Street. He collected specimens for it, and he took a very scientific attitude toward these specimens. So he's very proud of his Museum of Natural History as a boy.
Roosevelt's first real encounters with the outdoors were family trips to upstate New York.
He had asthma, bad eyesight, was picked on a lot by other kids, but he built himself up through what he called a strenuous life. He found that in the natural world, he rebuilt his health and found himself as a human being.
On the Roosevelt family's country getaways, Theodore also developed his interest in natural history.
He began very early taking notes on what he saw in nature. He really started styling himself as a natural historian when he was quite a young boy.
At the age of 11, Roosevelt wrote A Natural History of Insects, noting, "All the insects that I write about in this book inhabit North America. Now and then a friend has told me something about them, but mostly I have gained their habits from observation." And when the nearsighted Roosevelt was fitted for his first pair of spectacles, bird watching became a new passion.
The world of birds opened up to him, and it was astounding to him, the bright reds of a cardinal or the blue of a blue jay. So from childhood to the end of his life, the magical world of birds, both in the sight and sound, enchanted him.
Roosevelt was encouraged in his natural history endeavors by his father, Theodore Roosevelt Sr. The elder Roosevelt was a founding trustee of the American Museum of Natural History in 1869.
The whole idea for the museum came from the drawing room of his childhood home. So it's ground zero for anybody that wants to understand the real Theodore Roosevelt.
The young Roosevelt not only spent time in our exhibits, but he walked through the halls and went upstairs to the labs, to the collections, and got to know some of the curatorial staff. Roosevelt made his own collections, which are still in this museum.
In fact, Roosevelt first donated specimens to the museum when he was only 13. His childhood experiences thrilled him with the possibilities of scientific discovery, and he entered Harvard in 1876 with every intention of pursuing a degree in natural history. But another path beckoned.
TR shifted from natural history to politics during the course of his study at Harvard, because he knew that if he spent the rest of his life in the laboratory as a scientist, which part of him wanted to do, he would never have the power to change public policy. He wanted an active life controlling the affairs of men, to join what he called the governing class. So the practical politician won out over the passionate natural historian.
Roosevelt would always remain enchanted with nature, and his deep appreciation of natural history helped inform his conservation advocacy throughout his life.
When we get older, we think about making a fortune or making a job, and we lose some of the natural world. TR wanted all adults to remain like children. We will, I doubt, ever see a president that loved the natural world quite like Theodore Roosevelt.